In order to get acquainted with the advisory curriculum, the first thing you'll want to do is explore the course guides. These course guides are developed and should be shared with teachers for each grade level of advisory that they're teaching. These course guides essentially are a work in progress, but generally are finished. They're a hyperlinked Google Doc, so as things are updated on the back end in the Drive folders, they're automatically reflected on this end on the document. None of the links change. Everything should already be linked, so if any modifications have to happen, they happen in the background. So the first thing you should do is look at the front page of each guide. Generally, the directions are the same. The senior project guide does have a few extra notes about the senior project. On the front page, you'll see directions on how to make copies of assignments. I would suggest having each of your staff members make a Google Classroom for their advisory. That's where they can post copies of the assignments that they make from the curriculum. Or if they have any school-specific things to add, they can do so on their own Google Classroom. All of the lesson materials have been formatted and built out to approximately 4 days a week for advisory. If your school is using Zello, this has also been incorporated into these guides. For the senior project, Zello will now house the majority of the materials for the senior project instead of creating things in Google Drive where they can get lost for students. So this will build throughout advisory. There will be specific notes about the senior project throughout the guide. So if you have additional time in advisory, there's some lessons linked here for COVID trauma, digital citizenship, and academic advising materials. These are all ready to use for teachers should they need them. So let's look at a typical month. For each month, the corresponding Google Drive folder is linked. The moral focus component is given, and the approximate time period is also given. Each of the guides is broken down into approximately how many weeks there are in that month, and then approximately 4 lessons per month. So lesson 1.1 would correspond to week 1, day 1. These are the essential skills that students would have to know. Anything highlighted in green is a Zello lesson. So this is something that is ready-made in Zello that students can access. I've highlighted those in green. Then in the pacing is where all of the folders are linked for each lesson. If there's a learning check or a Google form that goes with it, it has also been linked. There may occasionally be comments from the curriculum team throughout the course guides, but those will all be cleaned up before teachers get to that month. Let's look at another month that has an example of the senior project. So in this month, there's 3 different colors. The essential skills are outlined here for the different weeks, and the corresponding Zello lessons have been highlighted in green. In this month, first freshman year, there are some senior project notes to take note of. So some things that they're doing in Zello, or if you're using the old version, Google Slides, if you don't have Zello, there's some notes about the senior project. So those will always be in blue on all of the course guides. And that's essentially it for each of the guides. One thing to keep in mind is that in March, grades 9 through 11 will be working on presentations. These are moral focused presentations, but we have specific topics students can sign up for, so presentations don't become redundant. So each grade in 9, 10, and 11 will lead up to a moral focused presentation in order to practice skills, and that generally starts in March. Seniors will work on their senior project presentation, which is different, obviously, from the moral focused presentations. And that's essentially it for a quick overview of advisory. So each of these guides can be shared with teachers at your discretion based on who is teaching each advisory level.